Kash Patel just completely imploded live on Fox News over those leaked 150 pages. And honestly, I couldn't find anything more hilarious today. The moment they pressed him about the documents, he fell apart on camera. And then came the real comedy. His answer when he was asked whether the FBI was ruthless under his leadership. It was the kind of meltdown you only see when someone realizes the receipts are out, the narrative is gone, and the truth is finally catching up.
Yeah, look, anonymous sources always lie, results don't. I'll get to the results in a second. These anonymous sources were individuals from the Comey Ray era that weaponized the Department of Justice and cratered the public trust in the FBI to something that was at levels that has never been seen. 35% public trust in the FBI when we came in 10 months ago. And now we're to believe that these anonymous sources are the ones accusing this FBI, the most successful in history, of being rudderless. Let's just look at the results. If we were so rudderless and we sent our mission out into the country and around the world, how would we have arrested 25,000 violent felons this year alone? That's twice as many as last year alone. How would we have arrested 35% more spies from Russia, China, and Iran than last year alone? How would we have found 6,000 children and identified them? That's up 22% from last year alone. We have taken down criminal networks and those that wish to do harm to our children. We have arrested in the 764 category, the nihilist violence extremist network, a 590% increase on those who wish to prey on our children. Those are just some examples, and I haven't even gotten to the monumental success on fentanyl, where we shut off precursors from China and have seized enough fentanyl, 22% increase this year alone, enough to kill 127 million Americans. We're crushing violent crime. We're defending the homeland. When Dan and I got here, it was a rudderless ship. But we re-executed this mission. We defanged the weaponization that corrupted it. We jettisoned those like these anonymous sources in this reporting. And all they have to talk about is anonymous sources and jackets and leather patches. They can have that all day long. The mission of this FBI is to serve the American people. And we are doing it at a level that has never been done before because of the leadership we have here. And thanks to President Trump's sweeping victory that demanded this place be rid of weaponization and put it back on a course to prosecuting criminals, investigating criminals, and putting away terrorists. And that's what we are doing every single day here.
You mentioned the thing about the patches and the gossipy stuff, which I know you laughed it off on Twitter, but on X. But they're saying, oh, he refused to get off the plane in Utah after Charlie Kirk's assassination because he wanted a better fitting FBI raid jacket. Is that true? And does fashion really make the man, Kash?
It's 100% false. As you know, look, Laura, sadly, I was at 9/11 at Ground Zero in New York City on 9/11 because I was a White House representative honoring those victims and their names being read. You are very familiar with that. Then we made the immediate decision after Charlie got shot in the neck to fly to Utah unexpectedly to lead the manhunt to find the perpetrator in less than 33 hours because the FBI cut video, put it out in a press conference, and these people are worried about what I was wearing and what patches I was wearing. I was honoring my men and women at the FBI. One of my agents handed me a jacket and said, hey, boss, you should probably wear this. We're going into the command center. I said I'd be honored to wear that. And then another one handed me the SWAT team badge of the unit that was protecting the area where Charlie was assassinated. I wore that with pride. These people can talk about my appearances all they want, but look at the results. The FBI, this FBI, my FBI, the one that Dan and I are building here under President Trump, is succeeding in ways that no FBI has ever done so before. So the institutionalists and the anonymous reporters from the swamp DC bureaucracy are the ones we are crushing. And that's how I know we're winning. And if Eric Swalwell wants to come online and talk about what jacket size I wear, I'm happy to send him a women's medium so him and Fang Fang can go out again.
Here to discuss is FBI Director Kash Patel. Mr. Director, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Where does this investigation tonight stand?
Well, first and foremost, our prayers to the family of the fallen soldier and our prayers to the family of hopefully this individual who continues to recover. This is a sprawling international terrorism investigation that the FBI is leading out on, and we are making sure to work with our interagency partners, and I've already issued dozens of pieces of legal processes, dozens of devices, already hit 2 houses and interviewed many individuals associated with the subject, and that investigation is going to continue on to anyone and everyone this person ever spoke to. We're not going to leave any stone unturned warrant. We're going to collect the evidence. We're going to hand it off to our partners at DOJ and make sure he's prosecuted to the full extent of the law, and anyone else that was responsible for this vicious, heinous attack will be held to the same account.
Now, today, the DHS Secretary, Noem, suggested that the suspect was radicalized here in the United States. What more can you tell us? Because that's what our viewers want to learn a lot about.
Yes, and we'll speak to that publicly in our documents in court. That is a very much ongoing piece of our investigation, where and how he was radicalized, and we're working with our partners at DHS and everywhere else to make sure we speak in court with crystal clarity and unity, and we'll be doing so soon.
And the vetting process, Mr. Director, we raised red flags about this back in 2021 on the angle, but that OIG report from 2022 says there were serious issues with the ability to vet Afghan refugees after that botched pullout from Afghanistan. And one bill has already been introduced in Congress would mandate that all refugees be re-vetted. Do you think that is a good idea? Your reaction tonight to that?
You hit it on the head. The problem with this case shows the emblematic failure of the Biden administration to vet anyone who came here from Afghanistan after the disastrous withdrawal. Zero. It's not like people were even partially vetted. They refused to do so. So it now falls to us in this administration to make sure we vet every single person that came in here legally or illegally or otherwise, and make sure there is no derogatory or criminal information or terrorist ties. And we are going to do that mission.
And, Mr. Director, another big issue that is concerning Americans, and it involves the refugee community, but in Minnesota, is the Treasury Department's investigation of that massive fraud there in the Somali community. So how is the FBI working that, and what can you tell us tonight, given the plethora of reporting and the defensive posture of both the mayor and the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz?
What I can tell you is the FBI let out on an investigation, and we publicized it months ago. We've got 78 people that have been arrested pursuant to our investigation along with the interagency, and that investigation is very much ongoing. We are not finished. It was one of the largest fraud scams ever committed in the state of Minnesota history, and we are going to continue to interview and subpoena anyone involved with this case. It is very much ongoing and live.
There are a lot of foreign interests that seem to be causing trouble in the United States. And I know the FBI today announced that Chinese national pled guilty to smuggling dangerous pathogens into Michigan. In a student at the University of Michigan, that individual has been deported, a Chinese national. My question is, it seems like kind of a slap on the wrist, deporting her back to China. A lot of people on social media wondering, why didn't she do jail time, or did you seek jail time here for her? Given the danger, potential danger, sir, to our food supply if this pathogen got out?
Look, I can only speak to the FBI's mission, and we've already arrested her along with multiple other individuals, including as recently as this past week, on related charges. And we're going to continue to arrest those individuals, and how the State Department and others deal with that matter is something that I would defer to them on.
Yeah, and Mr. Director, Democrats, and I know you know this, some never Trump Republicans, are salivating over a new report first obtained by the New York Post. Miranda Devine, she came on last night, talked about it, that takes aim at the FBI under your leadership and that of your deputy, Dan Bongino. So you had current, some former FBI staffers, all anonymous, put together this 115-page report. And now there was some very positive stuff in there, but the overall read was that the agency had become rudderless and that you're more focused on your social media than doing your job. Now, I assume that these are just bitter deep staters, but what is your general reaction to these concerns raised about the state of the FBI 10 months into the Trump administration, part 2?
It's simple. The FBI director, all FBI directors are required users of the FBI plane. They don't let me fly commercially. But my predecessors wasted millions of dollars because they were too lazy to drive an extra 20 minutes and go to Andrews Air Force Base. They used D.C. Reagan National as their personal hub, costing the taxpayer $4 million. I shut that policy off and mandated the use of government airfields. I've also used the airplane less than my prior two predecessors. And yes, I'm entitled to a personal life just like my other agency had counterparts with their partners. So do I support my girlfriend? Absolutely. And do I take trips with her? Absolutely. But when they're talking about raid jackets and Velcro and FBI plane use, they are not talking about the facts, because they know this FBI is succeeding in ways prior leadership failed. And those cronies will always stick together and, of course, band together with their enemies to come in and attack us. And our mission here is to protect the American people. Let me tell you one more stat that the American people are going to love. This FBI is on course to deliver the lowest murder rate in modern history by double digits. The lowest murder rate in modern history by double digits. That's because we're out there in cities like Memphis leading the charge, in places like St. Louis and Miami and New York and elsewhere across the country, delivering the mission first mindset and putting agents in power in the field to make these arrests. You cannot have these results if you focus on what the media wants to write about you or what the Democrats want to investigate. I am the only FBI director to turn over information related to travel, and that information shows one thing. I am a steward of the taxpayer dollars. My predecessors weren't. They couldn't drive 20 extra minutes on every trip. I'll drive an extra hour if it saves the taxpayer an extra few bucks.
Eric Swalwell has zero credibility on anything given his past. Mr. Director, our viewers also are just, they're chomping at the bit on why it took the Epstein files so long to be released. Any regrets there? Was that an unforced error? Just should we have gotten them out earlier? Just get them all out there. Just thought I'd give you a chance to react to that.
Yeah, look, this FBI has produced 40,000 pages of documents to Congress. To put that in comparison, Wray put out 13,000 in 7 years, and Comey put out 3,000. We're committed to transparency. We're putting out as much as we can that is lawful and that is not prohibited by court orders. And those are the things the DOJ is fighting still with judges in court to make sure we can reveal everything without breaking the law. And that's what we're committed to doing. We're doing it as fast as we can, and we're going to keep doing it, not just on this, but you know about Arctic Frost because of this FBI's discovery of the illegal surveillance of senators and staffers. You know about Russiagate because of mine and Devin's work from back in day. And we're going to continue those investigations, and you bet we have ongoing criminal investigations on both those fronts, because the guy who launched Russiagate, me as a senior staffer back in House Intel, is now the director of the FBI, and I'm not going to end this mission without destroying and leveling the full weaponization that occurred before I got here.
What you just watched wasn't confidence. It was panic disguised as bravado. Kash Patel spent nearly 10 minutes rattling off numbers, attacking anonymous sources, attacking his predecessors, attacking Democrats, even attacking Eric Swalwell's personal life, because he can't defend the one thing he's being accused of: weaponizing the FBI for political loyalty instead of law enforcement. The louder he talked, the more obvious the cracks became. He claimed the FBI has never been stronger, but refused to address why career agents, the same people he calls anonymous liars, are warning that under his leadership, the Bureau has become politically pressured, operationally chaotic, and dangerously inexperienced at the top. He bragged about arrest numbers without explaining that arrest data means nothing if the cases collapse, if communities lose trust, or if agents are being pushed into politically motivated investigations. He insisted he saved taxpayer dollars while also admitting he uses the FBI jet for personal trips. And he spent more time talking about jackets, patches, and his girlfriend than about why violent crime spikes in multiple cities contradict the lowest murder rate ever narrative he keeps repeating. Notice what he didn't answer: why the FBI misled the public for months about the Epstein files, why the Bureau refused to release the tapes related to the illegal Venezuela strike, why he is under bipartisan scrutiny for circumventing protocol during the manhunt, and why so many veteran agents say morale and credibility have cratered since he took over. This is what officials do when the facts aren't on their side. They try to replace evidence with performance. They drown viewers in statistics without context, blame everyone else for institutional decay, and hope no one notices the missing pieces. But the missing pieces are the whole story: the contradictions, the evasions, the shifting explanations, and the refusal to answer basic oversight questions. That's why this interview matters. It's not about jackets or jets. It's about whether the nation's top law enforcement agency is being run by professionals or political operatives who think volume and swagger can hide the truth.